Interstellar is once again directed by Christopher Nolan, and this time it stars Matthew McConaughey. This is my final Christopher Nolan movie review before I see Dunkirk. It's been so much fun reviewing some of Christopher Nolan's best movies. I love Christopher Nolan movies so much, so I've always been wanting to do this for you all. And now we're finally at the end, and I want to talk about Interstellar now. This is a movie I saw in theaters, actually. And going into the movie, I didn't really know all that much about it. I saw a couple of trailers, I was intrigued by it, but didn't really know exactly what the plot to this movie was. If you've never seen Interstellar, there will be some slight spoilers. I have to talk about a couple of plot points. If you've never seen it, you've been warned, but I definitely recommend seeing it. So Interstellar takes place several years into the future, and at this time, the Earth is now dying, and people need to find a new place to live. There are dust storms all over the place, so people are like, I'm getting the heck out of here. Cooper, played by Matthew McConaughey, is then recruited to go into space with 3 other astronauts to explore and find if there's somewhere else to live. And it is up to them to travel through the black hole in order to save all of humanity. First thing I want to mention is that the plot of this movie intrigues me a ton. I've always been extremely interested in space, and I really am curious to see if there is actually anything outside beyond our galaxy, and I really hope there is. So the whole thing about exploring other planets and seeing if they're habitable for human life, that really intrigues me. So props right away to Christopher Nolan for the plot of this movie. Obviously, we gotta talk about Matthew McConaughey in this movie. He is really good as Cooper in this film. I love his performance here. Very emotional at times, but also took the lead here. He was strong and a very smart character. Anne Hathaway is really good. Michael Caine is really good. Jessica Chastain is also incredible in this movie. This cast is stacked once again, just like in all Christopher Nolan movies, and everybody here is great. Another thing I love so much about this movie are the scenes actually happening in space. These scenes are epic, truly epic. The things going on here with the camera work and the sets themselves, they're very well put together. A lot of practical stuff going on here, all real sets, really great looking visual effects. The things going on here in space in this movie are reasons why I love Interstellar so much. There are so many great things going on in those scenes that make my spine tingle. And because of the real sets and the visual effects, this movie is beautiful. Just like most of Christopher Nolan movies, I actually think this is probably his best looking movie to date, besides hopefully Dunkirk. And it's great stuff to look at because you actually feel like you're in space because of how good this movie looks. I'll tell you, when I was sitting in the theater, I thought to myself, I'm in a spaceship. I'm practically in space right now. And when we're in space, there are many intense moments that keep building on and on. Like when we get to the first planet, it looks like a nice little lake that they're on. They can walk in it. But then you see in the distance, it looks like mountains. But in reality, it's actually a huge tidal wave coming at them. And it creates so much intensity. And the whole thing going on with Matt Damon at the second planet, that was a huge surprise to me, first of all. I did not expect to see Matt Damon in this movie, and everything going on with his character was very surprising and very intense as well. And right after Matt Damon dies, that scene when Cooper is trying to connect to the dock, that scene itself is one of my all-time favorites in movie history. It is so well done and directed, and everything about that scene just takes my breath away. And I like the 3-act structure of this movie. When we get into space, we have to explore these 3 different planets, and they just do a process of elimination, and I just love that about this film so much. There are so many great moments in this movie that I just love how Christopher Nolan decided to put them in here. The movie is obviously smart too. It talks about space and all that kind of stuff, and let me mention the score, once again, for another Christopher Nolan movie. The score in Interstellar is one of my top 10 favorite scores of all time. It is an amazing score. I listen to it on a daily basis. It's that good. Interstellar has a lot of great things about it. I know some people weren't too impressed with first viewing. Me personally, I felt the same way, but after watching it several times now, I've grown to love this movie. I don't really have many flaws with it. There are a couple things I have nitpicks with, but they're very minor. The only thing I would say I had a little bit of a problem with was the black hole sequence where Matthew McConaughey's character Cooper goes in there. The sequence for me felt a little over the top, a little bit too much involved, and there was just some things in there I was like, I don't really understand exactly what's going on. Please just dumb it down a little bit for me. I've showed this movie to a couple of my friends recently, their first time actually viewing it, and when the sequence comes up, they're always like, what is going on? I've understood the entire movie so far, but this sequence just makes absolutely no sense, so I wish they would have done a little bit better with that sequence overall. But other than that, there really isn't much else I have to complain about with Interstellar. There's a lot of great things going on, and the movie Interstellar is definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience in the theater. So therefore, I'm gonna give Interstellar a 96%, a movie that I feel like has been hated on a little bit too much. Some movie critics are out there were like, no, this movie has too many flaws, a lot of plot holes, but for me personally, I really love this movie. Alright guys, so I'm finally done with this part of my Christopher Nolan reviews. Obviously, I only have one more review for you guys in the Christopher Nolan genre, and that would be Dunkirk. I am seeing that movie Thursday night. I'm not sure if this video will be uploaded before Thursday night or not. I don't really know, but I am seeing it Thursday night, so expect my review for Dunkirk on Friday or maybe even earlier Saturday. We'll see. It depends on how much time I have. It's my most anticipated movie of the year. It better be good or else I'll probably be extremely disappointed and be kicking myself a lot on this channel. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.